Hey guys, good evening. Welcome to another Stocks by Request. In this video, we're going to talk about PHA, APL, Veto, Acen, SM Prime, Ali, BDO, and also start everything off with the PSEI. So looking at the market for today, we saw the PSEI go up at 7,304, slightly up at just 0.20%, but that does not give you the whole picture for the day, because when you looked at the start of the trading day, we saw it start to move up and push higher, only to be closed, only for it to go at a much lower pace in the last few minutes of trading. So we saw a much higher movement at the start of trading day than we just saw a bit of profit taking. And one of the reasons why we saw that, by the way, value turnover for the day is 10.85 billion pesos. But one of the reasons why we saw that is, you look at the last candlestick that I posted in the chart. As you can see right here, I mentioned this yesterday that the PSEI is at the resistance at the 7,307 level. And true enough, today, it tried to break out of that particular resistance level. But as you can see, intraday, it tried to go above it. We saw the market open at 7,292, go as high as 7,432, only to see it succumb to selling in the last parts of the trading day, to see it close at 7,304, which is right smack below of the 7,307 resistance level. So it's very, very consistent at the 7,307 level. We have a legitimate resistance. So, by the way, from a candlestick point of view, this showed us price rejection on an intraday level. This showed us that people weren't willing to buy the markets at a much higher pace. This showed us also that at this point in time, people either saw it as somewhat expensive, or people wanted to buy it at a much lower price. That's why we saw the market start to go down. And of course, as you all know, we've seen the markets move up a lot. Above 7,307, people who have bought earlier are also taking profits. Now, if you'll allow me to zoom out, still the same narrative from the previous video, that we have not seen the PSEI go above the 7,307 level. The last time it was above it was February 2020, so it was a pre-pandemic level. So we're very, very close already to almost a year of the PSEI not going above this level. So again, as what I've mentioned in the previous videos, if we see the PSEI go above the 7307 level, the next possible resistance is at the 7536 mark. But as of now, we're currently seeing it consolidate, and it's been at this level since December 2020. So we have seen a 7,020 support, or 7,043 support to 7,307 resistance for almost 6 weeks now. Anyways, let's start our individual stocks with BDO. So BDO, no, it had a good bounce. I mentioned this a couple of days ago that one of the reasons why we saw it drop from December 18 all the way to its lowest around 99.9 last January 6 was because of its failure to break out of the 114.5 resistance level. But it got protected as the 102 level reinforced itself as a level of support. Now, we are now 3 days uh, from the bounce of that 102 level support. We are also 3 days from the bounce of the 50-day moving average. So looking at it from a support and resistance perspective, two things for BDO. BDO bounced the 50-day moving average, and BDO broke out bounce of the 102.9 level. So another thing happened today. It confirmed the breakout from the 20-day moving average, and it also confirmed another push above the 109.7 resistance level. So couple of things to watch out for BDO, since it's also consolidating, is if it breaks out, is if 109.7 reiterates itself as a support level, then the next narrative is it goes to the 114.5 level. And again, as what I've mentioned, this is the resistance that has blocked BDO for a couple of tries already, from the upward movement last March to the upward movement last May, then to the upward movement that we saw at the tail end of December 2020. So let's see this time if the fourth time is a charm, and it could actually break out from the 114.75 level. Because if it does, then we may see another set of upward movement brought about by it trying to look for what the next possible resistance is. So should it break out from the 114.75 level, the next possible resistance could be at 140.29. So it's quite a big spread. Uh, giving you around a 21.7% upside from the breakout of 114.75 should it break out. But allow me to update you over the next few days if it happens. Next is Ayala Land. Ayala Land also closed the day down, slightly down at 0.3610% down. Value turnovers at 385 million. It closed at 41.4. So it still has not shifted. No, it's still consolidating from this price movement that we saw in December 11. Support still for Ali's 40.4. Resistance is 42.1. So it's very, very consistent that when I said it started to consolidate for the short term, it really is consolidating after this particular break of this upward move that we saw in October. So for Ali, longer trend is still up. Shorter movement though is it's consolidating with a support and resistance at 40.4 support. Resistance is 42.06, which it was quite evident today. Look at the intraday move. We saw Ali go as high as 42, but only to see it retrace also intraday. Anyways, comment below if you're learning. Comment if this is something that is helping you and giving you tremendous value. By the way, for those who want to know more about technical analysis, links are in the description below for everything about me, the books, online courses, and the other YouTube videos that we're having. By the way, I'm thinking now since we're trying to do an online course for technical analysis. Of course, we're still having the live training session happening at the end of January, but the online course is still being edited. It may take some time. For those who are interested, I'm trying to see if people want this. I'm trying to think of doing a Zoom class for technical analysis, but it will most likely be February and it will be live. For those who are interested in that, comment Zoom and then I'll see what I can do. Anyways, let's continue. I want to talk about after BDO and Ali. I want to talk about SM Prime. For SM Prime, this is how it looks. SM Prime, no, I mentioned this yes from the last trading day that it broke out from the 39.49 level, and we saw it intraday today also part of the movement of the index pushing higher. SM Prime hit a high of 41.95 for the day, only to see selling happen to even close than the lower than the opening. Opening for SM Prime today was 40.4. We saw it close at 40. Highest is 41.95. But here's what's interesting. In spite of that particular selling, the upward trend from let me zoom out from March is intact. The shorter upward trend from October is intact, and the breakout from the 39.49 support level is still also intact. So again, the name of the game, if you are trying to analyze it from a support and resistance level, is the only time you take action is if there's any shift and change in the support and resistance. So for today, what we do know is the 39.49 support level held its ground, but it also showed us one thing, that as the stock or as SM Prime moved up, it inched closer also towards the 42.54 resistance. So it's very, very clear right now how SM Prime would probably go. If 39.49 pesos will hold, the range where SM Prime will move is 39.49 support, 42.54 resistance, and that will be its current progression. Main trend is still up, medium term trend is still up, range where it's moving 39.49, resistance is 42.54. Next is the very, very popular and very, very much requested AC Energy. As you all know, the X date happened last week, and that's why we're seeing some downward pressure also for the stock. A lot of people bought it primarily for the shot and the chance to be able to avail of the SRO at a lower price. And that being said, that's what we saw today. So something significant happened today, from at least a chart perspective. Four things that I'd like to mention that are relatively bearish for Acen. And for those who attended Stock Smarts, you know what I'm talking about. Number one, red candlestick. Not just a red candlestick, but the red candlestick pretty much showed us that the stock closed at 7.22 with price pressure from the opening of 7.77. But above and beyond that, three things happened in conjunction to that red candlestick. Number one, it broke below the 20-day moving average. Number two, it broke the uptrend that started November 16. And number four, for those who are quick traders, for those who are labeled quick traders from our Stock Smart scores, we saw this cross down, which is showing us that there's a change in direction. So four things: red candlestick, 20-day moving average breakdown, November uptrend breakdown, and change in direction from the moving average. Next possible area where it could land is where our support is at the 6.6 level. So watch out for the 6.6 level. If this hits and bounces, then we could possibly see it consolidate from this particular range and level. If it does not consolidate, possible landing spot for this could be at the 5.84 level, because that's where the next narrative is for where the support may possibly go and land for AC Energy. Next, another very, very popular stock, especially from last year, Veto. Veto for the day closed in the red. Value turnover was 658 million. Strong, high, but not as high as how it performed in the previous weeks and days. Veto closed 3.35% down from its previous stock price was 13.12. It closed the day at 12.68 pesos per share, which just reiterated, no, it's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days that it's having a hard time to break the 13.85 resistance. So we're now at least seeing bits and pieces of Veto starting to consolidate at the 13.85 resistance level. So current support and resistance as of now is still here. Support quite far is 8.5. Resistance is at 13.85. If you want to draw it from a shorter term perspective, I could possibly put something here, but it's not something as solid still as compared to as compared to this 8.45 or 8.5 support level. So there's a short-term support here at 11.5. So possible if short-term retracement could be here. But of course, as this is shorter, it's not as strong, it's weaker. If this does not hold, then the narrative for it to still retrace to the 8.5 level is still there. So as of now, what we're seeing from the charts is the 13.8 resistance level is proving itself to be an area where there are people who are relatively selling, or there's hesitation from the market to buy it at a much higher price. Last two stocks, and this two have had a lot of talk over the past few days. Not as long and lengthy as how Veto, MM, and Acen has moved up, but over the past few days, this has gotten a lot of buzz, and I know there's a buzz because it's based on the DMs that you would send me via Patreon or Instagram. So, anyways, for the next stock, it's APL, which closed with a value turnover of 672 million. So again, for APL, this is how it looks. I mentioned this in the previous video that it's still moving towards its breakout. So whatever price movement that we're seeing, it's pretty much fueled by its breakout here from the 0.063 level, then followed by another breakout from the 0.096 level. So this green candle, large, massive green candle that we saw for today, is still a recipient, or still part and parcel of the breakout that we saw last December. And this trend line that I drew here is still pretty much intact. And the 20-day moving average denoting momentum, denoting a push up, and denoting bullish movements for APL is also intact. So currently, from where we are today, large green candle, trend line that I plotted here is still intact. It's not yet broken. Then two breakouts that has caused this stock to continue to push higher. And while this is all happening, the 20-day moving average is still showing us that there's still no reversal in sight. So again, please, I just want to reiterate it also that the breakout happened here somewhere around December 9. The next breakout happened somewhere December 22. That would have been an ideal area to be able to allocate capital for the stock. If you have not yet allocated, please do note that as it goes higher, your risk also of downside becomes higher. But if you were part of the people or group of investors who were able to come in at that particular point in time, and you're just maximizing your trade, by all means, maximize your trade, because the name of the game is still To minimize losses, maximize gains. If a stock is still bullish, breaking out in an uptrend, have large day-to-day movements, then you can still hold onto your position. But it's another story if you're coming in, seeing the stock. No, please do note that from the breakout that happened last December 7, it's already up by this much. So relatively a very, very high amount already. So sometimes di natin kailangan habulin yung mga stocks kasi you will also have another opportunity later on. There will always be times of correction. There will always be times also where you could see stocks go down, bounce, or break out again from another resistance, and that's when you can start to come in. So before I go to the last stock, PHA, comment below if you want me to talk about Bitcoin. Comment below if you want me to talk about Tesla or other stocks from the US markets. And before that, before we go to the last stock, I just want to reiterate this. If you're new to this, please do note that these are not stock tips, picks, tricks. Never ever buy, sell, hold, or avoid a stock just because we talk about it here in YouTube. Or do not ever buy it also just because you hear it from someone from TV or you hear it from a friend, because it has to be you who should analyze it, and it should be you who should pull the trigger because it's your money, it's your responsibility. Use this video as information, but do your own due diligence, do your own research, build your own skills, because listening to tips won't help you make money. Listening to tips won't help you build the skill and the conviction to make this a sustainable investment for the long term. It has to be you who should take responsibility on how you trade and you invest. So lastly, PHA stock closed at 2.09. Value turnover is at 1 billion. Looking at how the chart would look, let me push this PHA. Okay, so this is where PHA is. So if I plotted this before, that there was a resistance around the 1.747. So as of now, no, it's still progressing this uptrend, which was at around November. Then another uptrend from the bounce of this upward trending line, which happened at the start of January. Then it broke out from this resistance at this particular, at the 1.72, 1.728 mark. So currently, as of today, I just want to note out also that for people looking at it from a day-to-day perspective, there's a resistance at the 2.27 level, or at least there's selling happening at the 2.27 level. Uh, Even though selling happened, though, we saw it still close higher than the opening, which was at 2 pesos, and higher still than the closing from last Friday. So there, current trend for PHA, it's still up. If I'll interlace at least the 20-day moving average here, it's still not showing us any reversals. If I'll interlace a GMMA, it's also still not showing us any reversal signals. Please do note that iba yung basa kung hawak mo ng stock as compared to where you're supposed to buy it. The buy signals should be based on either the moving averages, the cross up above that, or the MACD cross up above that, or if it goes above zero, or even for the GMMA that we have here. So for those who are following this, it's not still showing us any reversal patterns. So there, I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that this is something that's helpful for you. If you guys have not seen it yet, prior to this video, we had Carlo Apple, Jason Law, and Sean Si share their inputs on how you can make money this 2021 via the internet, via e-commerce, via online best practices. So all of that is in the description below. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send in your questions. If you guys made it up until this point, comment algo to help this video be pushed up by the YouTube algorithm. And there, any specific personal questions, feel free to DM me via Instagram. Feel free to DM me also via Patreon. So that's it. I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that this is something that helped you, and I hope that this is something that added conviction, information for you to be able to trade the markets with confidence. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.